Yeah, welcome back to Stuff for Whatever podcast. Your host, BQuanchi here. Before I get started, I always like to say the best way to support me and the channel is like, comment, and subscribe, follow, watch, engage, all that stuff. On YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch are the main ones. I do stream gaming on Twitch, and those gaming streams get uploaded here back on the same YouTube channel, BQuanchi. So we have a very special podcast today. I guess first thing to let's talk more about Twitter. Because it's been getting, I don't know if you want to say like crazy, but it's like, it just feels like a dumpster fire. That's a good way to put it. Like, it gets to the point that, hey, maybe you want to go back to Tumblr since they're not allowing, I think, honestly, I think just nudity, not it's like porn, but I'm not sure. But I think Tumblr might make a resurgence. But all this Elon Musk stuff and all that. And I don't know, it just seems as crazy, like people saying that he's crashing to the ground, but it is a private business in the long run, even though it's a major social media platform. And a lot of people, even like creatives or businesses or companies, and especially like entertainment, rely on Twitter a lot to get like word of mouth and all that. But especially with, like him pushing Twitter Blue and the check mark, because that's been a fiasco. I actually think what I talked about last week, because I've been thinking about doing the podcast a little bit more, and also a little bit random, because daylight savings happen, and I live in Arizona, and we don't do daylight savings, so my upload schedule's a little off than it used to be, especially my stream schedule too. So it's going to be like the same for me, but I'm not sure if that's going to change like audience or reach, even though there's not much for reach. Just to see like maybe East Coast might tune in or whatever, but check it out. I've been doing a lot of stuff. I had some fun times in October with Halloween stuff, and I'm kind of rethinking I might do stream a little bit less or focus on other videos or whatever. But it's a hobby and it is what it is. But I had some fun ideas that I kind of want to stop being lazy about, but we'll see. But I don't think I mentioned it on the last podcast. Going back to Twitter and Elon Musk, but I know there's the fiasco with all the people buying Twitter Blue for the check mark and then changing the name to Elon Musk with the photo of it. So it looks like Elon Musk being saying these things. I know like there was a big one with Ethan Klein from H3H3 and Kathy Griffin. I think like Ethan said something about like missing Jeffrey Epstein and stuff like that. Both got suspended and all that. And I don't know, it's kind of weird because it's kind of like poking the bear in a sense. And I don't know if it's like some people, if they get into that certain career where it's like they don't really answer to a boss, like you're working man, or anything like that, like whether you host a podcast or a channel, or you're a comedian or entertainer. Although I know a lot of people bring back Kathy Griffin. I think with the Donald Trump head, I know that got a lot of flack like that. I think that's the main reason why she's no longer part of New Year's Eve, the big thing in New York event. And I feel like, I don't know if people just get too big and ego. And again, I don't know these people, and but it seems like don't caring about consequences, and it's not the worst thing, like not having a Twitter account. I'm not sure if that's like, I've been hearing permanent suspensions. I'm not sure if H3 would ever get his Twitter account back. Because there was like terms and service or whatever the policies. I don't know what you want to call it when it comes to like the official like etiquette, like do's and don'ts when it comes to like a website or a platform, all that. Because they do talk about impersonation a lot, and a lot of people are bringing up the point like, hey, like Elon Musk said himself in a tweet that you have to make it clear that's a parody and all that. And Ethan Klein, I know for his Twitter account, he put parody as the, what you want to call it, the banner or whatever, like the header, whatever you want to call it on Twitter. But he just kind of like did like Microsoft Paint and said parody, but he still got suspended. And then some people arguing like, well, it says he had to be named, so if he had Elon Musk parody or something using it, because some people just see that, not realize that, they don't click the account and see the whole profile. They're not going to know that's parody, although obviously you can see like the handle as well. And so he was like, oh, that's what. But then I saw like an instant, like someone posting like, hey, this person not sure big or small, but had parody, like Elon Musk in quotes parody, and they still got suspended. Like they, in a sense, followed the rules, but and maybe not with Elon Musk. You don't want to like, at least on Twitter, like unless you want to. I have some good advice about this too, but unless you want to explode your Twitter account and be banished, like what I would do is do make it. It's easy to make a Twitter account, so just make a new Twitter account, or if you have like a backup or a throwaway, like make a throwaway Twitter account, and then you can do whatever the fuck you want. I think at most you'll be wasting $8, but if you like use a account and then you can like screenshot it, you can quote retweet it and stuff like that. So it's like it's not me, but it's really me. But like it's your different account, especially if you have a big following and all that. But I think that's where like retweets and quote, because if you like create a Twitter account, not gonna have like the same following you build over years and time. But that's what I would do if I was in that situation. Like if I was Ethan Klein, I would just make a brand new throwaway Twitter account, make these funny memes or jokes and all that, and then quote tweet it, or even screenshot it just in case it gets deleted. So like, aha, look what Elon Musk say, wink wink. It's not me who's doing this, wink wink. So I just kind of protects like what you build in a sense, because I can't imagine like I'm not sure like in terms of like influencers and content creators like how much they rely on Twitter in terms of getting the audience or reaching out and growing their brand or whatever you call, because like crazy like month or so, because there was like Kanye, there was Andrew Tate and all that, a lot of people getting deplatformed. It feels like when you want a following, I guess that's why they always call it followers on Twitter. Like Twitter is like the platform to have. Well, there's always Instagram, there's always TikTok, and I never done TikTok myself. I do technically have an account. Just kind of off topic because I didn't mess around with Musically, and then like, oh, I actually still since it carried over, I technically have a TikTok account, and then I deleted my Musically video. Like, no, that's cringe. So glad I did that, but who knows? Because I'm almost tempted, like, if there's, like, food items and stuff like that, I might do TikToks, like doing a testing the Cheez-It tostada from Taco Bell, but I think that was only, like, one place in California. Like, I'm not going to drive all the way for that, but if, like, a new crazy item, like, from Taco Bell or whatever, that's always, like, a go-to. I think sometimes it could be a little creative with that, but it's crazy with Twitter and all that, and yeah, it is what it is, and I know there's like some bummer when it comes to like pushing Twitter blue, because even like Elon Musk himself, I like saw clips that verified users who do pay are going to be more visible, like be brought to the top, and kind of like unverified are going to be at the bottom. You have to like scroll down for them, so it's kind of like suppressing your average user. I'm not sure like how many people actually going to get Twitter Blue, because I hear like some people, like I think more that rely on the platform in terms of reach, all that. We'll see. Because it's crazy. I'm not sure like how bad Twitter was when Elon Musk bought it. Because with this whole thing, like maybe he buy it, maybe he won't, and they're like threatening to take him to court. Because I'm sure it like throws a lot of things out of whack if you like show really strong interest in buying something, especially with the stock market or whatever. I didn't even know. I'm not sure if this is true, but it sounds maybe correct that maybe like Twitter was hemorrhaging money, because it feels like they were like, okay, you're buying this. Like, if I was in that position, I'm like, fuck, I don't care. I'll toss the platform and run away. Don't care if it burns, if it means getting millions, if not billions of dollars, because I'm not sure how that gets dispersed, because I know 44 billion is what he paid for it, but I'm not sure like who gets what in terms of the seller with Twitter. But yeah, some crazy stuff. And also I think it's kind of weird with the cause I felt like Twitter would get like most of its money from like advertisers, like promoted tweets and advertising, and then like with Twitter Blue you'll see a lot less of that. So it's like, hey, advertise on our platform, but we're encouraging users to give us money so they see less of your ads. So it's like, I'm not sure how advertisers feel about that, like if they're thrilled about that or not, because it's like, oh great, encouraging your users to not see your ads. Yeah, so I can see how they can put off some users or advertisers. And the next thing I want to talk about for a little bit is the Weird Al movie, Weird, the I guess call it biopic, the ones on the Roku channel, which seems kind of strange. I'll talk more about that too. But sorry, Daniel Radcliffe. I really like it. I thought it was hilarious and all that. I'm surprised it had such a good cast. It did kind of feel small, but I thought it was hilarious. Like, I almost feel like most biopics should follow this formula because I feel like it was more about like telling a true. Well, it definitely wasn't telling a true story. It was just like telling a story it wants to tell, and there was a lot of embellishment too. It's like I feel like it was almost like a recurring bit or joke without being like blunt. I don't want to like calling it out, but it felt like a lot of times throughout the movie things will just fall into place. Like as a teenager, he goes to a high school polka party, and then they wanted to play accordion, and then he nails it, and everyone's cheering for him. But then, like, trying to think of idea for a song parody, and like his roommates, like, very encouraging, you know, like even musically helping him and all that. But there was a little hang up with like the first record deal, but then like things get really successful and falls in place and all that. So I think like it cares more about embellishing. I think really leans into that humor and all that. To point out, it lies throughout the movie. I don't want to spoil too much about it, but there's like one bit where Weird Al wanted to be like more of a serious artist, and it was saying that his song "Eat It" is an original song, and then later Michael Jackson parodied it and all that, even though it was reversed. Everyone knows it was reversed, unless you don't know Weird Al at all. But yeah, it's very fun, and I do recommend it. Like the third act, it gets a little bit more conflict and all that. It gets kind of really absurd in terms of the story and probably like what really happened with his life events and all that. But I don't want to spoil too much about it. I'm not sure how people are going to watch it outside Roku, because this had the Roku. I have a TV that has Roku built in, and it's one of my favorite things. Is probably like won't get a smart TV without Roku, just because like all the apps for it as well. None of them sponsored anything like that. I could just say fuck Roku. It's not going to give me money, even though I'm small and insignificant on the internet. But yeah, it was. I do strongly recommend it, and I think one of my criticisms is that I felt like it could expand more time. Like I kind of wish it would have gone into later on in Weird Al's career and all that. So, although it could have been drawn out that way too, like that fine line between being to the point and like not overstaying your welcome or not stretching a story so long that it gets tedious or boring, all that. And like I said before, it's like strange for like a Roku channel because it's free content. Like, but I don't know, it had a good cast, but it felt kind of like it felt like low budget without being low budget, if that makes sense. Like, there's a lot to it, but it kind of feels like, okay, this is what I would expect if I'm watching it for free. Like, this is like content I'm not paying for. Like when someone makes something for YouTube that's really, really good, but then like, oh, I'm watching this on YouTube. Kind of like that. And it's kind of annoying because with the Roku channel, there's commercials, so you see commercials throughout the movie as well, like little commercial breaks. But I recommend it. I love it a lot. I wonder if the things would have been different, like if it was like a major studio and it was like a full motion picture release in theaters, if it would have been a different kind of movie. But I just love the humor of it. I just like how it like doesn't give a fuck for the most part. And it's like, hey, this is the Weird Al story, even though probably I wonder how much is true. I'm sure you can track back like interviews, or if we did like behind the musics, or I'm sure there's like documentaries and stuff like that talking about like his growing up and early start to his career. But like I said, it's just really funny how things fall into place. Things are really embellished and all that. So I do recommend it. I do feel like another like kind of a down point to it is all the Weird Al music sounds like it's from the record, so it's not like Daniel Radcliffe trying to sing like him or live recordings. It sounds like they play the Weird Al music when they need to, kind of thing. But it's a really great time, so I do strongly recommend it. It definitely makes me want to see Weird Al in concert. I think he's going to Europe or something like that. I know he finished the American tour, which I always hear Weird Al concerts are like the biggest, not the biggest, but the loudest. Like they're really, really loud. But I haven't heard too much feel like his albums in full and his music. Like I always hear like the big trending hits and all that. But yeah, a great movie. And also, kind of changing the subject, I kind of curious about Sonic Frontiers because that just came out, and it seems like it's pretty well received. Maybe one of the best Sonic games out there. But it's so weird, like when you get that like snippets of all these like sources, or what do I want to call them? Maybe not sources, but game journalists, for lack of a better word, whether it be like a bigger one like IGN or other ones. But it's kind of like you can only take the reviews with a grain of salt. Like I almost prefer just to watch like certain content creators or YouTubers and stuff like that, and like value their opinion. I think a lot of times they more tend to just like talk generally about the game versus like, okay, we're gonna give it a score and all that, because there's the good, the bad, the criticisms, the strength with a game and all that. And I've been kind of wanting to do that a little bit more. I have a few reviews on a channel as well. I almost feel like maybe I'm a little too cut and dry, so I'm kind of like worried about my delivery. Like I've almost think, because I like to think that I have a good sense of humor, but sometimes even like when I'm streaming or doing this little stupid podcast, that it's hard to get across sometime. But oh well. But looking forward to Sonic Frontiers. I'm not sure if I'm gonna buy it right away because it's on a to-do list. I would love to stream it as well. But I'm finishing up Sonic Adventure 2. I have Sonic Generations, which I never beat, and Sonic Lost World, the one for Wii U, because I never got the Wii U, and I got that for cheap on a Steam sale. So I said it right. I saw a Steam sale. But yeah, I'm curious about the Sonic games I never jumped into, so we'll have to wait and see. And maybe like Blacklog, some of the older stuff too, but it kind of mixing it up with the Twitch channel and all that. So another thing I want to talk about, I'm not too much of a political person, but I just kind of wanted to talk about the midterms a little bit. I think it's still wrapping up. Like I said, I'm in Arizona, and I don't think we have our full results yet. It's looking like it's staying blue, and not that anyone like cares too much. I kind of lean that way. I say kind of, but yeah, I do. But and I'm just making some observation, like how crazy politics seem now, or just like how the world of politics and elections change over time. Because it kind of felt like back in the day, not that I'm like an old guy or anything like that, but it always seemed like when I noticed politics, especially like elections, and even though this wasn't the presidential election, this one, but I just feel like politicians was really like flip-floppy, or they were trying to please everyone with their answers, with questions and debates and stuff like that, even though they had this strong view or what they lean towards, but they don't want to lean too hard in it, so they output others. So they try to get more everyone's vote versus like now it just feels like, fuck you, I'm going to say this or say that. Like, I think ever since 2016 when Trump got elected, I kind of felt like that just like shattered the glass to the point that politicians, like, it feels like they don't have the consequences in a way. Like a lot of the big hot topics, it felt like for this midterm, it's like reproductive rights and election results and fraud and stuff like that, and people like lean really hard against like banning abortions. Because I've been also seeing a lot of the political ads here in Arizona, like Blake Masters. I'm pretty sure he's going to lose, but it still hasn't been called yet. There's like clips of saying that he thinks abortion's demonic and it should be completely 100% ban, even when there's like rape or incest or anything like that. I wanted to like privatize Social Security and stuff like that. Or he said like stuff like about the troops too, like they never won a war, or how incompetent or something like that. Like, and then like have clips of the ads which like showing this to veterans and stuff like that. So it's like even the criticisms with like the military, like shit, Republicans don't supposed to like that, but it's like feels like this point again. It probably had to do with like the whole Trump affecting the whole atmosphere with politics. But I feel like they could say something very like unpopular and lean really hard to it, and it's like there's no consequence because they still get a shit ton of votes. Like these elections are really close. Like that's probably why it hasn't been called yet. Because I'm recording this on a Thursday, and that was Tuesday, so it's been almost 48 hours. But I have to wait to see. I'm not sure why it takes so long for results for some states, but it's just crazy. Like, I kind of wish that the elections would have been a lot more uh, like it was clear, because I always feel like with these issues, like especially with reproductive rights, like it really strong, like, hey, like we need these rights, like we can't have our rights taken away, especially if it means endangering people, women, and stuff like that, like forced to give birth, or if there's like incest or rape, or I think even like to say like if the mother's life was endangered and stuff like that, like still would still ban it and all that. Like it gets crazy, like how extreme it gets to. It just seems weird. We feel like one side is like completely in the wrong, but then you see like these elections are very close. Like the voting's really close. I just want to get to a time like in a couple years, like as a younger generation starts to get older and able to vote, and the older generation kind of like phases out, like how much of a change, because I thought it was kind of funny. Like there was a lot of like chattering and murmuring about like, oh, there's going to be the red wave. Like Republicans are going to take up so much of the Senate, so much of the House, all that. But that hasn't been the case, even though it hasn't been like too. I think each side kind of flipped a little bit in terms of their states or whatever. I'm not a big political guy or can really commentate or review like in a more authoritative kind of way, but it seems like things are pretty close. Just looking at the results. To be honest, I've been just looking through CNN, but it looks like the House and Senate is going to be pretty even. Like even if one has the majority, it's like going to be barely like a tiny bit majority. So I'm not sure if that's going to affect much. Like I think that affects like the Speaker of the House or whatever, but it feels like it's still going to be kind of even and all that. But I guess I just kind of wish like if these elections were like not so close, like if it was just a slaughter, like, hey, this person had these really unpopular views. Because they even talked about like I think it was more with the Secretary of State for Arizona, who was on the Republican side, was like part of the Oath Keepers, and this big deal with like the January 6th storm on the Capitol and stuff like that. So we see the ads like crap, you feel like these people don't have a shot in hell to win, but they're getting very close. We'll have to wait and see and all that. But yeah, just my 2 cents. That I just think just because the past elections, like especially 2016, it's like fuck it all. Like say what you want to say, and versus like I said before, it's like always dance around the issues and try to please everyone with like. That's kind of got me remember as a kid, like in the 90s and stuff like that, or early 2000s. It just felt like no one leaned hard. I remember like them calling John Kerry, who was who lost to Bush. I think he lost to Bush. I'm pretty sure he did, yeah. But he was like, they kept criticizing that he's a flip flopper and stuff like that. But you don't really see that nowadays. Like people are just really strong with these opinions. But also, like, last note with midterms, because I did kind of follow some ballot measures. Not too much going on in my state, but it's good to see, like, I think there was maybe 3 that were about reproductive rights, and they all got passed. Like California, I think Michigan, I forget the other one, but it's like, yeah, right for an abortion. Also, like, a lot of not medical, but recreational marijuana was on the ballot. A couple of them got passed, and a couple got turned down, and all that. So, like, we'll see, because that's one thing I'm kind of curious, because no, in Arizona, we did have it not pass, and then on the election down the road, it did get passed for recreational. Not that I care about it too much, because it's not like my substance of choice, all that, but I wonder how that works, like, with companies, like, I worry about that, like, companies who drug test, like, even if it's legal in the state, it's like if the company operates in other states that it is illegal, that could be an issue. I'm not sure if anyone can ever fact check me on that, or like sources, because that's what I'd be worried about, like doing it and all of a sudden I get drug tested and get fired, even though it's legal I'm using it legal in my state, just because the company's nationwide. And I think it's like a big deal with like federal jobs and stuff like that, but it makes me curious to kind of learn more, even though I'm not sure where to look for reliable sources. So I don't know. I'm just like a dummy with the microphone and a YouTube channel, so take it with a grain of salt. So one thing I kind of want to talk about food related. This might be a little simple, stupid, but I've been kind of into like making ramen, but like not just. Well, I use the instant noodles anyways, so it's not like anything too fancy, but just kind of doctoring it up to make it a little bit more of a meal. Because what I've been doing is getting those packets of the instant ramen doing stovetop. But what I do is like put like broccoli in it and even chicken. And sometimes I have to add more water, so I put like a chicken bouillon cube or add some garlic and all that, and soy sauce and all that. So I kind of like make more of a broth. I just use a pack just so it gets ramen. I'm sure I can get better ramen noodles if I just need the noodles. But I've been kind of doctoring it up. I just been doing broccoli. I got the idea from my mom because she also got like the bean sprouts and stuff like that, or like green onion. I kind of wish I wasn't too lazy with it. But one thing, I'm not sure if this sounds bad, but I tried it with canned chicken, and it turns out pretty good. I've been kind of turning around with canned chicken, just because I'm not sure if I mentioned on the podcast months ago, but for some reason, like I never moved away and been gone for a while, but Walmart delivered to the door, and like they don't put any address on the delivery, so I can't confirm like, oh, it wasn't misdelivered or did they order my steak. So I just kind of like took the order, or not. If it's against the law, then no, I didn't. But it had like canned meats, like canned beef, canned roast beef, and canned chicken. And, like that always seems weird to me because I don't like canned tuna at all. But canned chicken, but it's not too bad. Like I would recommend if you like you mix in something like maybe even do tacos with it, or ramen or curry. Those are kind of like the three things I experimented with it. But last time I made ramen, I did have actual chicken breast because it was on sale. So I like got chicken, broccoli, pretty good stuff. So I do recommend like be able to like just a little bit. Like if you want to be cheap or lazy, do a little canned chicken and all that, and kind of beef up your, it's chicken, but kind of beef up, level up your ramen. That's it, level up your ramen, all that. So just a little blurb I wanted to talk about. Yeah. And the last thing I want to talk about is Katy Perry. And this is more just of a stupid idea that I just want to get out of my head and see if others agree or feel the same. Because I don't think anything new would happen with Katy Perry. Something that's not Katy Perry. But yeah, I just like was like thinking in my mind, like, is it just me or does Katy Perry seem unbearable? I've not been following. I know they had a couple seasons when they kind of brought American Idol back to, ABC, and she was one of the judges and stuff like that. But it just kind of, if I think Katy Perry, I like, kind of like roll my eyes, because I remember like when her career really popped off and got started. I think it was the "I Kiss a Girl" song was a big one, and then they had the California Girl ones. That's like when they're in Candyland, and there's like Snoop Dogg as like a, I don't know, like a rapping gummy bear, and then Katy Perry tries to like bite off his ear or something like that. I think that's how the music video went. But then you had like, California Girl, she's like squirting whipped cream out of her tits. And then they had that song Firework later on that was like, oh, she shooting fireworks out of her tits. And then she was on Kid Choice Awards and she got green slime poured over her tits. Now to see that's like the highlights of Katy Perry's career. But I know she had a lot of big hits. I feel like a time that her and Lady Gaga were like the big pop. I'm trying to think of the word, not like titans, maybe for like back like a better word, but the big titans of current pop, Katy Perry and Lady Gaga. But it just kind of felt like, I don't know, she just kind of like, I think just because I did watch a little bit of the American Idol when she was a judge, and I just like almost find her unbearable. So maybe that's when like I feel like when did Katy Perry become unbearable is like on American Idol. Because I know like, I'm trying to remember the time frame. I think the last time I thought she was really like big mainstream is when I think it was album Prism. It was the one that had the song "Roar" on it, and all that. And that's a good song too. Like the lot of songs I like, not all of them got too big on. I feel like she had so many like really good hits and like hits that everyone enjoyed and read their family, but. I bet you I had to double check this story, but I think this is the moment, like, okay, when it came to like Katy Perry, like, I'm totally over this chick. And again, it's not like a really my big taste in music, but there was I'm not sure what season American Idol it was when she was a judge, but it was during an audition, and this guy said that he never had a kiss. Like, I think they say like, he plays guitar because he gets like a cashier's attention or something like that. And then he like mentioned that he never been in a relationship and never kissed a girl and all that. And then Katy Perry was like, oh, and she like trying to get him to kiss him and stuff like that, and kind of got him to agree to kiss him on her cheek. So he kisses Katy Perry on the cheek and is like, oh, you got to give me a big kiss. I was like barely nothing. And then when he does, she quickly turns her head and kisses him on the lips. So it's like stealing his first kiss and all that. I think that's like kind of messed up because I don't know, like people with like harassment, the sexual harassment or consent. Maybe that was before the Me Too movement got really big. Maybe at the starts of it, because I think people were saying that too. But like that's when I thought, like, okay, fuck you, bitch. Like you think you're all high and mighty that you can be this amazing first kiss for, but the guy was 19. That was the one thing I wanted to mention. For some reason, I was remembering like, was he 16 or 17? Like, I know like American Idols, you can be a little bit underage to audition and kind of compete. So it's like, okay, at least he was over 18, so that kind of helps you a little bit. But it just seems kind of messed up, and it's like, okay, Katy Perry, like, fuck you. Like, I enjoyed the music, but I haven't followed her in quite some time, and yeah, it's like, it just makes me want to roll my eyes. Not that I'll ever meet her or anything like that, or she'll hear this or anything. Although this might be the title of the solo podcast, but yeah, for some reason I get this like vibe from her from what I see from American Idol. Like, you know, when just kind of a metaphor, but you know, when someone's like in a relationship and maybe it's like the very first relationship and it's like barely 3 months, but then they act like a whole expert, like know everything about relationships and give you like relationship advice and like, fuck, you barely have any experience. You're like 3 months in a relationship and you act like you're a therapist, like a marriage counselor or anything like that. It's like, get over yourself. And that sounds kind of dismissive, making that metaphor to Katy Perry, because, yeah, she had a long career, and it's mostly like being a performer. All that, but you know, when you have like other judges like Lionel Richie and the more recent American Idol, even like producers or whatever from previous ones, like especially like Randy Jackson and Simon Cowell, the big one. So it's like, Katy Perry, like, where do you get off, you know, being an expert? I don't know. Again, it might be unfair to really say, but also like, one last note. Just think of like previous judges on American Idol. But why the fuck was Ellen a fucking American Idol judge? I don't know why that happened. And that was before. I think that was way before there was even talks about like a toxic workplace with her talk show. All that. But what the hell? I think was it just one season? It might have been two, but like, what the hell is Ellen doing on American Idol as an actual judge and all that? Next to I think she was next to Simon Cowell. I think Simon Cowell was still around when Ellen was on it, but it's like, I think Simon Cowell, did he stay on like the whole time before it went to ABC, like when it was on Fox? And I think it was like some time or years before they like revived it. I think it was a short time, but there's still a gap. But yeah, just my stupid thoughts out of my stupid head. But hopefully someone enjoys it. But comment below what I talk about. And again, the best way to support me in the channel is to like, comment, and subscribe. You go to YouTube, Twitch, all that. And follow me on Twitter, where Twitter is still a thing. I don't know. I almost tempted to get Twitter blue just to be verified and more visible. Although that just kind of sucks. Like, I don't want to like invest in something that's a hobby. Who knows? But I don't know. I can always use the $8 to buy Starbucks drinks or whatever. So anyways, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see y'all next time. Y'all have a good day. Bye.